What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about BCHG and LTCN Grayscale Trust today for Cal and Andrew D'Angelo. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. From a relative high, all-time high, to a relative low, all-time low on BCHG, you are consolidating right in your golden retracement zone. It's beautiful, right? Like, you broke above it on your first attempt. You're finding support. This kind of look almost always, right, assuming that you don't break below, you can go below this level, but you don't want to break below this level, the 618 here. As long as you're holding support here, almost always does it imply that you're going to see your extended areas, right, which is the same targets that we've been calling for all along, right, even since before we broke above this. Like, even it was like all the way back here whenever Ethan Gallsad made it like first apparent to me. I think you were actually, if you're watching this, you were the first one to request BCHG. I didn't even know who you were. You didn't know me either, and that was the beginning of our back and forth with each other. But shout out to Ethan on that note. But yeah, he was the first one to bring it up, and so all the way back here, you know, these price targets were in mind just solely off of the extensions. And as we've gone further, right, breaking above the, I can't tell you guys how beautiful this looks, right? First attempt, finding support on it. This is like just, I couldn't write it better myself. It's literally what you want to see if you're looking for these extended areas to hit. And yes, this is a target. I'm not betting on that personally. I don't think this is going to be where you go. I really do like this mid area, and I do think you could go a little bit higher than it. It wouldn't be crazy to go a little bit higher than it, but I am skeptical of that $1,500 area. But it's not impossible. It's definitely not, especially if Bitcoin Cash really starts pumping. Time will tell. But here we are in the near term stuff at $8.88, you guys. What a blessing. What an absolute golden opportunity it is to get into some BCHG. It could go lower. Absolutely it could. I'm just looking at the weekly RSI. The weekly RSI kind of looks like it wants to go lower, I'm not going to lie. And that could change with tomorrow's price action. We'll see. But you are at a point where it wouldn't be crazy at all to go up, right? I think I drew this trend line yesterday. Literally, you're right at it now. So we'll see how tomorrow looks. If you break below this trend line, you guys, with these diagonal trend lines, it's very common to see 1, 2, 3 touch points. And then on that third touch point, you go just below, and that's where you go. It gives all the novice people who use these trend lines the idea that the trend is broken, that it's going down, when really that's the perfect capitulation. You'll get this weird double bottom, or in this case it'd be a triple bottom kind of look, and then you move up. So I wouldn't be surprised if you moved below the trend line. This trend line here, I wouldn't be surprised if that was like actually your low. So I don't personally think that you're going to break below. Like, really, I don't think you're going to break below $8, but I wouldn't think that you break below $8.50 or $8.40. Really, you're at $8.88 now, and you just might hold this line and bounce from here. That happens too. It absolutely does. You've got some kind of, I don't know, what is this, a broadening bottom pattern? It kind of does look like a megaphone, actually. I would say that does look somewhat, I guess it's not a megaphone. A megaphone is like this, right? You'd have an ascending and a descending trend line, where these are both technically ascending. So it's a broadening wedge is what it would be called. And broadening wedges normally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs normally. And generally speaking, with a broadening wedge, you actually would not go below this trend line. So if this is a broadening wedge, and if it holds true, then that would imply a fifth leg up. You would find resistance up here potentially, or sometimes, and often enough, you do actually break through. Your fifth leg just extends out, and that's your breakthrough. It's like your sixth leg, but it's a part of your fifth leg. Or maybe you move down on for your sixth leg. That's your breakout. But it just depends. The bottom looks right for it. The top is kind of ugly, I would say. It's actually kind of ugly, but it doesn't. You know, it's not that bad actually. I don't know. Just want to see. You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's part of some like greater channel overall. Anyways, daily RSI would suggest that it looks like it wants to go a little bit lower as well. To be completely fair though, you are at an area that you've liked to find support before, right here, and maybe you're right here again. So you could go lower. Generally speaking, the way this RSI looks, I would expect that you do go lower, but looking at what this thing likes to do, especially recently and even back here, you have found support, maybe not so, a little bit there, I guess, actually, resistance there. At times you have found significance on this line. At times you've disrespected it. Will this be a time you find significance? That's to be seen. Maybe we can find out on the shorter term time frames. Come on now. You do have bullish divergence. You've got some nice bullish divergence on your 1 hour time frame, right, to be fair. And it is confirmed with that green candle there. That is bullish divergence, you guys, which would call for a move up just under $1, probably even past that, actually, because where your divergence forms would be right here. It's at 970 or at 888 right now, and it's confirmed. It's there. And generally speaking, not only do you hit that line, but you'll move a little bit past it. So this could be the low, man. Coinciding with that trend line as well, it really could be the low. You know, I feel pretty confident in calling for that, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you moved lower as well. There are a bunch of other things indicating that. So really the best thing that I can say with BCHG, I've been beating around the bush this whole time, is that, you know, it's a perfect time to buy. I think it's only getting more perfect, more prime as it goes down. Anybody who's been waiting to buy, or, you know, waiting for your check to come in, maybe you wanted to buy over here, but your checks didn't come in, or you just didn't have the money in order. Now you've got more reason to buy. Hopefully your checks come in tomorrow on Friday, and you can get paid, man, and then you can turn it into this. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm just saying, what a perfect time to buy. I very much do believe you've broken the downtrend. I very much do believe that, even though you don't have a higher high, relatively speaking. I guess relatively speaking, you do have a higher high, actually, right here. But you have broken this downtrend, right? You do still have higher lows, as not ideal as this week might have been for anyone holding BCHG or anyone who bought up here. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I've had a couple comments that are very negative about BCHG, not negative toward me or the channel or the videos. You know, everybody, you guys are, man, the Grayscale people, you guys are like the best people. Like, honestly, you're probably the kindest people. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe it's because you're not like you're crypto people, but you're stock people, right? You're not just like straight degens. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I do get the least hate from the Grayscale people. But just negative comments about BCHG and how it's performed this week has been kind of the thing, when really, guys, it looks good, right? It's that wasn't the right line to draw. It's holding this line pretty well right now. It's just a higher low. It could move lower and it would still be a higher low. So, and beyond that, you've broken out of this trend. So, all that talk just to say, you know, it wouldn't be crazy if you moved a little bit lower, but when it does come time to move up, you're looking for prices that are, you know, immediately speaking, at your 61869 area, that would be essentially like around 80 to 100% more of what you're at now in price, so that much growth would happen. And then when you see your extensions, the minimum targets would be up here, but it's very likely, quite possible, that you'll see the deeper extensions being hit, seeing some new all-time highs, and potentially even break $100 by the end of this next move. And this next move could continue on, right? It depends on how it looks, but you know, I would expect stops along the way, but where it ultimately ends up could be, you know, $200, $500, something like that, right, by the end of this cycle. But whenever I'm calling for that, anywhere from, let's just say, $32 to $97 area for your next top, that's like relative to this, right? Like, this could be construed as one move in itself, but this was like your pit stop along the way. So perhaps you see a pit stop at like $32 along the way, all the way up to $97. Then you get another consolidation phase like this, and then you have your momentous or your, I don't know, your glorious movement up to that $250, $600 area or higher, absolutely. But we'll know better as things move on. So that's BCHG. I have beat the hell out of that one. Let's talk about LTCN. Moving down, man. Moving down to 15.15. I had one guy ask if we were moving down to $9 for LTCN. And I said no, I don't think so. It's possible. They were asking if it was possible. And I said, I guess it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't bet on that. $9, hey, to be fair, I was wondering where you're getting that from, but that is relative low area. It could happen. I would say you're more likely to find support here, right? I would say that because this is previous areas of resistance, previous areas of support, I would say you're more likely to find support here. But yeah, I mean, if you break too much lower, I guess there could be a case to be made for $9 to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's look at the relative low here to the relative high. You know, I don't know why. Look at that. You're right at your 382. That's awesome. It kind of looks like you've broken out of this parabolic structure, to be completely fair. Some people might call this a cup and handle. It's possible, right? Cup and handles, for those of you that don't know, that is a bullish pattern. High to low here, all the way up to your 2272 down below your 786. Maybe you do move down to like 1370, something like that. You could bounce off your 618 there, playing off this same fib area. Let's look at this low to high real quick. Right at your 1272. Right at your 1272 on the relative extension, right at your 382 from the low to high here. It could be the area that you find support, previous areas of resistance, previous areas of support. It really could be the area that you find support. So it's kind of hard to say. The weekly RSI, to me, looking at it for what it is, would suggest that you go lower. You are around this point that you found support last time, but just with how this looks, I wouldn't be surprised if it did go lower. Not like dramatically lower, not to $9, but a little bit lower. I want to actually look back at that weekly. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see how tomorrow closes. Because if you close tomorrow green, this would actually probably be right at the 40. And a bounce right off the 40 would actually look really good. Like if you were to close just a little bit higher for the week, maybe you move lower tomorrow, but you close higher than you are now, close higher than 515. That's your goal. Even if you don't do that, it's not condemning, right? Because LTC, the underlying asset, still looks fine, right? You've got this. If we look at the weekly here, I mean, since the 22nd of July, from a high to a low, you've moved down 41%. We look at LTC. Come on now. Why is it taking so? Oh, there we go. I had to look away from it. Go to the weekly here, right? I mean, technically not even that week, but from the high here this week to the low, it's down 14%. So you're down quite a bit versus LTC. I wonder if this does have something to do with the PP sales, the private placement sales. I don't know if they're unlocked yet. I don't think they are because I feel like it was later in the month, 6 months ago. I don't think that it was the right. This would have been the first day in August. I don't think it was that. I think it was like, was it the 5th or like the 15th? It was a little bit later, so I don't think they're unlocked. Grayscale themselves, and I don't know, right? This is just an assumption I'm making. It could very well be wrong. Everybody thinks differently, but I want you to know how I think. Whenever I say things like this, it's an assumption. That doesn't mean I believe it wholeheartedly, that this is my belief. I'm just listing it as a possibility. It does not mean it's the truth, but it could be the truth, what I'm about to say. Is that perhaps Grayscale does have some market makers or people who are more or less capable of manipulating the price. They're aware that these private placement sales are about to be unlocked. So, there always is, again, as I said yesterday, there's always, it's not almost always, there is always selling pressure whenever you get unlocks happening. Whenever it's in stocks, oh, there we go, or in crypto or any kind of thing like that, there's always some people who sell. It just happens. It's inevitable. There will be some downside to the unlock. Now, is it going to be like this? I doubt it. I really do doubt it. But the price could be moving down to, like, Grayscale could be the ones manipulating the price down so that when these private placement sales unlock, they're able to, sell their trusts at a cheaper price. So it's better for Grayscale than selling it at a higher price, right? Because Grayscale probably owns a decent bit of this too. So it's in their interest to have these private placements not sell with, I don't know how much volume they would have, but with decent amounts of volume at higher prices, right, with more incentive to sell. And then Grayscale would have an easier time buying up those shares, or other people would have an easier time buying up those shares at cheaper prices too versus higher prices from the private placement sales. It's just a thought. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I don't blame you, because I feel like I didn't explain that well, but I feel like it makes sense. At least I know what I'm saying. I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but I know what I'm trying to say. Maybe I don't know how to say it the best, but they're trying to push the price down to make it less convenient for the people who are selling these private placement sales, who will sell inevitably. It's not going to make them not want to sell, because they got this thing at NAV price, so they're going to sell, right? They're, maybe not all of them. Maybe some of them are aware of what's going to happen afterwards, but there's going to be selling pressure. That does not mean, I want everybody to hear me right now, that does not mean sell your trusts before the private placement happens. That does not mean that. I did expect that you'd see a pump going into it, but perhaps we're getting the opposite of that right now. Either way, back to the main thought here, not the theory, but the actual analysis. It would be really nice, and you don't have the sales unlocked yet. I don't think you do. Somebody hit me in the comments. I'm sure there's someone who remembers what day those sales were available, right? Just look back at Ethan's "fuck you Grayscale" video that he made, like back in what was it, February? That one, the one where he's pissed at Grayscale, that would probably that would be the day, right? Because I'm pretty sure that was the day that they became available, or like a little bit before they're available. But man, I'm getting all kinds of off track. Before we have that private placement sale unlock, maybe we do move up a little bit, and then you get that dump going into the private placement, and then we move up again. It wouldn't happen in this amount of time, right? Because that puts you down in September. But really, what I'm trying to say is that it would be nice for the week to close a little bit higher, just a little bit, so that you get this potential bounce off the 40. You could get the bounce, maybe next week is green, and then the following week when those unlocks happen, you move down a little bit, and that's okay. But having the bounce off the 40 would be really nice. Correlating with that, you would also potentially get this. I thought there was something else on the daily. Well, you get this bullish divergence, I guess. I thought there was something else we were looking for on the daily. What was it? Was it just the bounce off the 1272? The bounce off the 382? Maybe that's what it was. Stuff like that. Anyways, LTCN could move lower. It's possible. I don't think it's moving down to $9, but maybe as low as $13 is on the line. You're at $15.15 now. I would really like to see tomorrow close. It doesn't have to be dramatically higher, but just to close maybe like 50 cents higher, something like that. It can go lower first, right? Don't be sad if the day opens up down and then you move up to close the day. That's okay, but higher would be nice. And if not, again, even if it does close lower, it's okay. It's totally fine. LTCN is going to be fine. The underlying asset is fine. It is way down compared to its underlying asset. It will reverberate. It will bounce back. And when it does, it'll be glorious. And where it's going to go from a relative, maybe because we don't know if that's the low yet, so I don't feel comfortable taking that. From the high to low here, you're at your 382, 618 to 382 area, very common thing to do. Your next target would technically be 156 to 271. You're at 15.15 now, so let it go lower. Let it make you more gains. Let these PP sellers give you a better opportunity, if it were to happen. I don't think you're going to $9, but it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyways, guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I definitely rambled on that one. I don't know what it is about the Grayscale Trust. You guys make me ramble, but I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about them at all. And it kind of does, and I hate this pattern. I don't hate it. I don't hate anything. That's not what I meant to say. I don't like this pattern people call a cup and handle, but it kind of looks like a cup and handle, right? It kind of does. Let's be fair. It's kind of like a tilted cup and handle. This is like one of those homemade pottery cups. I don't even know what I'm drawing there, man. But you know what I mean? Like you make it in a pottery class. It's your first time doing pottery since high school or grade school, and it's uneven. It looks like one of those. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, man. Maybe it's not a cup and handle, but it gets the same results anyways. But that's all I got. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.